Beloved, there is a kind of loneliness that doesn't scream. It doesn't come crashing in like a storm or announce itself with sobs and chaos. Instead, it whispers. It lingers. It's quiet, but it's heavy. A woman with no friends doesn't always look like someone who's struggling. She might smile in public, hold a steady job, show up for others, and still go home every night to a silence that feels like it's swallowing her whole. That's the ache I want to talk about, the one we rarely speak of, but many carry. Loneliness isn't just about physical isolation. It's about feeling unseen, unknown, and uninvited. You can be surrounded by people and still feel like you're on the outside of something sacred and soft. The world often glorifies independence, being strong, self-reliant, low maintenance. But we forget that at our core, we were built for connection. We're wired for it. And when that connection is missing, it doesn't just affect our mood, it seeps into our bone. It touches everything. For a woman with no friends, everyday life can feel like a quiet performance. You learn to laugh when it's expected, nod at the right moments, and carry conversations like a pro. But deep down, there's a longing, not just for company, but for someone to truly get you, to ask how you're really doing and stay for the answer, to see the mess and not run from it, to say, you don't have to do this alone, and mean it. That kind of presence is rare, and when it's missing, it hurts in a way words often fail to capture. This loneliness can make you question your worth. The mind starts playing tricks. If I was lovable, wouldn't someone be here by now? If I mattered, wouldn't I have been invited? These thoughts aren't just passing worries. They become the soundtrack of your life. And the danger is, over time, you begin to believe them. You start to shrink, not because you don't have something to offer, but because somewhere along the way you were convinced you don't belong. But beloved, here's the truth. Loneliness is not a reflection of your value. It's not proof that something's wrong with you. It's evidence that your heart is awake, that it wants connection, that it knows there is more. That ache is not weakness. It's not failure. It's human. You are not broken because you crave closeness. You are not lacking because friendship has been hard to find. If anything, the longing reveals just how deeply you're made for love. It takes enormous courage to sit with that ache and not numb it, to face the silence instead of filling it with distractions, to admit I'm lonely in a world that celebrates hustle over honesty. But the moment you name it, you take away some of its power, because shame thrives in secrecy and loneliness often wraps itself in shame. When you say it out loud, even to yourself, you begin the process of healing. And healing doesn't mean snapping your fingers and finding a tribe overnight. It means being tender with your own heart. It means saying, even if no one calls today, I'm still worthy of love. It means showing up for yourself, especially when no one else does. Because the truth is, the journey back to connection almost always starts with one brave soul saying, I don't want to do this alone anymore. So if you're reading this and it feels like I've described your life, please know this. You are not alone in your loneliness. Even in the ache, you are seen. You are held. There is nothing wrong with you. The path may feel quiet now, but it's leading you somewhere. Stay soft, stay open, keep your heart turned toward hope. The ache won't last forever, but your worth, that never left. It's easy to look at your life and wonder if something inside you is broken beyond repair. When friendships fade, when invitations never come, when birthdays pass quietly, something in your chest begins to tighten. You begin to wonder, is it me? Maybe you've tried to reach out and it was met with silence. Maybe you've trusted the wrong people, been let down too many times, or watched others form tight circles while you stood just outside. It's easy to confuse this repeated pain with proof of your unworthiness. But beloved, pain is not the same as being broken. You are not broken. You are bruised, and bruises, though tender, do heal. A bruise is evidence that something impacted you, that you felt it deeply. And in this world, feeling deeply is often a brave, rebellious act. It means you showed up, you hoped, you cared. That alone makes you strong. Yes, the result may have been disappointment or abandonment, but even in those moments, your heart proved it was still beating, still believing in the possibility of connection. That matters. That means something. There's a danger in believing we're broken because broken things are often seen as useless or defective. And when we start to believe that about ourselves, we stop trying, we pull away. We don't reach out, not because we don't want to, but because we've convinced ourselves that no one would want us anyway. And that narrative doesn't protect us, it imprisons us. It keeps us in rooms where we lock the door from the inside and then ache because no one knocks. But being bruised, that's different. A bruise says, I went through something and I'm healing. It honors the pain without making it your identity. It allows for tenderness and growth at the same time. It gives you permission to be both hurt and hopeful, to be human. And isn't that what we all are? Human beings carrying invisible bruises, navigating a world that doesn't always make room for our softness. If you've been told you're too sensitive, too quiet, too much, too little, you may have started to see your sensitivity as a flaw. But beloved, sensitivity is a sign that your heart works, that you are awake to the world. Yes, it means the pain hits harder, but it also means love runs deeper. That kind of heart may bruise more easily, but it also beats with more courage than most people will ever understand. Not having friends right now doesn't mean you'll never have them. It doesn't mean you're incapable of connection. It means you're in a tender season, a rebuilding season, a season where your heart is recalibrating, learning to trust again, and waiting for the kind of relationships that won't require you to shrink or hide. This isn't the end of your story. It's the middle, the messy middle where healing starts to hum quietly under the surface. So take heart, be gentle with the parts of yourself that still hurt. Speak kindly to the girl inside you who wonders if she's lovable. Remind her that she is, that she always was, that bruises fade, and in their place, something softer grows, a deeper wisdom, a richer compassion, a clearer sense of self. Not everyone will see your worth right away, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. Some treasures take time to be found, and if no one has told you lately, you are not broken. You are not hard to love. You are not a lost cause. You're just in the in-between, healing from what was and becoming what will be. Hold on. Let the bruises teach you, not define you. This ache is not forever, but your resilience, that's eternal. We all have stories. Stories we whisper to ourselves in the quiet moments, stories that shape how we see the world and how we see ourselves. The danger is many of these stories are born out of fear. They aren't the truth, but they often feel like it. These stories, woven from past experiences, missed opportunities, and hurts that haven't fully healed, create a narrative that we live by. The stories we tell ourselves become the lenses through which we view everything. And if we're not careful, these stories can trap us in patterns that limit us and keep us small. One of the most common stories we tell ourselves when we're feeling lonely or disconnected is the one that says, I'm not enough. It's subtle, sneaky even. It might sound like, if I was more outgoing, more fun, more attractive, more confident, then maybe people would want to be around me. We begin to believe that our worth is tied to how much we can offer others or how much we can prove ourselves to them. We measure our value by what we do, not who we are, and that, beloved, is a lie. Because your worth was never meant to be earned, it is inherent. It's not conditional. You are enough simply because you exist. Another story many of us carry is the one that says, I'm unlovable. Perhaps you've been hurt before, betrayed by someone you trusted, abandoned by a friend you held dear. The pain from those experiences becomes a story that whispers to you over and over. People leave, people don't stay, you can't trust anyone. And while it's true that people can disappoint us, it doesn't mean that we are unworthy of love. It simply means that some people were not able to love us the way we needed or deserved. Don't confuse their inability to love you with your inability to be loved. You are worthy of a love that sees you, honors you, and stays. People who won't walk away when things get hard. The stories we tell ourselves are often shaped by the messages we've received from others. Perhaps you were told that you were too much, too loud, too emotional, too intense. And so you began to tell yourself that in order to be accepted, you must shrink. You must be quieter, less, smaller. And in that shrinking, we lose parts of ourselves, our voice, our power, our light. But beloved, there is nothing wrong with being big, with being bold, with being exactly who you are. Those who truly love you will never ask you to shrink. They will want you to rise. The stories we carry also shape how we view friendships. When we've been hurt in the past, we may start to tell ourselves that everyone will eventually leave, that people are unreliable, that friendship is fragile, and that it's not worth the risk. But that story keeps us trapped in isolation. It doesn't allow us to be vulnerable, to open up to new people, to trust again. What if, instead of fearing abandonment, we chose to tell a new story? The one that says, I can trust again. I can build relationships that are kind, strong, and real. It's not an easy shift to make, but it is a shift worth making. Your capacity to trust and love is not a flaw. It's a gift. We also tend to tell ourselves stories of perfectionism, the idea that if we just get everything right, if we are always composed, always have the right words, always show up perfectly, then maybe, just maybe, we will be worthy of connection. But perfectionism is another trap. It keeps us from showing up as our true selves. It makes us feel like we have to hide our flaws, our mess, and our imperfections. But it is in our imperfections that we find our humanity. It is through embracing our messy, beautiful, complicated selves that we invite others into our lives. No one can connect with perfection, but people can connect with authenticity. The good news, beloved, is that you don't have to accept the stories that don't serve you. You can rewrite them. You can challenge the voices that tell you you're not enough or you'll always be alone. These voices may feel loud, but they are not the truth. The truth is you are worthy of deep, meaningful connections. You are enough just as you are. And when you start telling yourself a new story, one rooted in compassion, truth, and possibility, you create space for the right people to find you. People who see your light, your beauty, and your heart. In this journey, be gentle with yourself. Rewriting old stories takes time. It takes courage. It requires you to face the pain of the past and decide, I will not let this define me anymore. It requires you to show up for yourself, to speak to your heart with love, and to believe in the possibility of a new narrative. The stories we tell ourselves shape our lives, so make them beautiful, make them true, make them full of hope. And when you feel the weight of an old story trying to creep in, remember this. You are not what happened to you. You are not the mistakes you've made, the people who have hurt you, or the times you've been let down. You are a story still unfolding, and it's a story worth telling. Reaching out can feel like standing on the edge of a cliff, vulnerable, exposed, and unsure of what might happen next. There is a quiet fear that grips us, telling us that if we make ourselves too available, too open, too seen, we might get hurt. After all, we've experienced the pain of being ignored, rejected, or let down before. It's easier to remain silent, to wait for someone else to reach out first, to keep our needs to ourselves. But beloved, the truth is that isolation will never bring you the connection you crave. The risk of reaching out is not a risk of failure. It is a risk of discovery. And what you will discover is that you are worthy of connection, worthy of love, and worthy of being seen. The fear of reaching out often comes from a place of past wounds. Maybe you've extended yourself before only to be met with silence or indifference. Perhaps you've given your heart to someone who didn't value it, or you've been abandoned when you needed support the most. These experiences can leave scars, bruises that make us hesitant to put ourselves out there again. But if we let these scars define our future, we'll never allow ourselves the opportunity to be loved the way we truly deserve. Reaching out requires an act of courage. It means choosing to be vulnerable, even though the past may whisper in our ears that vulnerability will only lead to heartache. The truth is, when we reach out, we expose ourselves. We expose our need for companionship, for affection, for understanding. It's not easy to admit that we need others. It feels like a kind of weakness, doesn't it? We've been taught to be self-sufficient, to stand on our own, to handle our problems privately. But in truth, needing others is not a weakness. It is a strength. It takes great courage to admit, I need you. And it takes even more courage to risk that need being unmet. But there is no greater strength than allowing ourselves to be vulnerable enough to ask for connection, to ask for the support we need. Reaching out also forces us to confront the fear of rejection. No matter how much we try to protect ourselves, there's always a risk that the person we reach out to may not reciprocate. This fear can paralyze us, causing us to hold back or shrink in moments where we should be reaching forward. But if we don't take the risk, we are robbing ourselves of the possibility of true connection. Rejection, though painful, is not a reflection of our worth. It is simply a result of timing, circumstances, or compatibility. Reaching out is not about guaranteeing success. It's about giving ourselves the permission to be seen, regardless of the outcome. For those who have been hurt by others in the past, reaching out can feel like inviting more pain into our lives. We convince ourselves that it's better to remain safe, to stay in the quiet comfort of our own solitude than to risk the hurt that might come from trusting someone else. But what we fail to see is that remaining in the shadows of our own isolation creates a different kind of pain. The pain of never knowing what could have been. When we keep ourselves locked away, we deny ourselves the possibility of joy, of real connection, and of belonging. The risk of reaching out is the risk of opening the door to a life fuller of love, understanding, and mutual respect. When we extend ourselves, we also give others the opportunity to meet us. We show them the door to our world, and we trust that they will walk through it should they choose to. This act of trust can be terrifying, but it is also a beautiful invitation. By reaching out, we allow the other person the space to connect with us in return. There's a beautiful reciprocity in human relationships that is built on the act of giving and receiving. When we risk our vulnerability by reaching out, we give others the chance to love us, to care for us, and to walk beside us in ways that deepen the bond between us. But this requires us to take the first step, to be brave enough to make the offer. Sometimes we are afraid of the what ifs. What if we reach out and they don't respond? What if they don't like us? What if we make ourselves vulnerable only to be rejected or ignored? But what if the alternative is worse? What if the alternative is to stay hidden, to keep our hearts guarded, to avoid the discomfort of possible rejection, but also miss the beauty of real human connection? In the end, the risk of reaching out is far less painful than the ache of never trying. The pain of rejection is temporary, but the ache of loneliness and isolation can last a lifetime. And so, beloved, the risk of reaching out is not just a risk, it is a gift. It is a gift to yourself, to others, and to the world. The act of reaching out is the act of choosing connection over isolation, trust over fear, hope over despair. It is an invitation to step into the fullness of who you are, the messy, beautiful, vulnerable, and courageous soul that you are. So take the step, make the call, send the message. You are worthy of connection. You are worthy of love. And while the risk may feel great, the reward is even greater. Sometimes the hardest part about building meaningful friendships is not about waiting for others to come into your life. It's about learning to become the kind of friend you need. It's easy to look outward, to expect others to show up for us in the ways we hope for, to wish for the kind of deep, nurturing relationships that make us feel seen and understood. But true connection begins within. The friend you need isn't someone who will come along and fill all the spaces you feel are empty. It's someone who will walk with you, yes, but first you must learn how to walk beside yourself with grace and love. Becoming the friend you need is not about perfection. It's about showing up with authenticity, kindness, and the willingness to embrace both the light and the shadows within. We all have an idea of what a good friend looks like, but how often do we reflect on whether we are that person to others? Are we as supportive, kind, and present as we expect others to be? We often wait for others to offer the very things we should be giving to ourselves and then to them. Becoming the friend you need means offering yourself the same compassion and care that you desire from others. It means learning how to listen to your own heart, to validate your own feelings, and to tend to your own needs. When we become our own source of support and comfort, we can begin to extend that same energy outward, creating friendships that are rooted in mutual respect, understanding, and love. To become the friend you need, it's essential to embrace vulnerability. Being a true friend means showing up as you are, without the masks or pretenses. It's about saying, I don't have all the answers, but I'm here for you. Or, I'm struggling and I need support. The beauty of vulnerability is that it creates space for others to do the same. It opens the door to deeper connection. Because when we allow ourselves to be real and honest, we invite others to meet us in that space. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is strength. It's the courage to show your true self, to let others see your scars, your fears, and your dreams. And when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you create an environment where friendship can grow. One that is rooted in authenticity, trust, and openness. But becoming the friend you need isn't just about being there for others in times of joy and ease. It's also about showing up in the hard moments. The real test of friendship is how we show up when things aren't going well. It's easy to be a good friend when everything is smooth sailing, but true friendship is forged in the storms of life. To become the friend you need means being there not just during the good times, but during the hard ones too. It means holding space for someone's pain, sitting with them in their grief, and offering a steady hand when the world feels uncertain. It means being someone's safe place in the chaos and their anchor when the tides of life threaten to pull them under. To truly become the friend you need, you also have to learn the art of self-compassion. So often we are our own harshest critics. We speak to ourselves with more judgment than we would ever offer a friend. We tell ourselves we're not good enough, not worthy enough, or not doing enough. But what if you treated yourself with the same kindness, encouragement, and understanding that you would offer your dearest friend? When you learn to be gentle with yourself, to speak to yourself with love, and to forgive your own imperfections, you'll be better equipped to offer that same compassion to others. The relationship you have with yourself is the foundation upon which all other relationships are built. If you can become a friend to yourself, someone who believes in your worth, who stands by you through thick and thin, you'll be able to extend that same support to others in meaningful ways. Sometimes becoming the friend you need also means learning how to let go. It means recognizing when a friendship is no longer serving both parties, when it has become one-sided or toxic, and knowing that it's okay to step away. Just as you need to be the friend you need, you also need to understand that some friendships, no matter how much you wish they would work, may not be meant for you at this time. Letting go of friendships that drain you or hold you back is an act of self-love, not selfishness. It's about respecting your own boundaries and making space for connections that uplift and nourish you. You deserve friendships that honor who you are, where you are, and who you are becoming. As you work to become the friend you need, it's also essential to remember that no one is perfect, including yourself. Being the friend you need doesn't mean always knowing the right thing to say, always being available, or always getting it right. It means showing up even when you don't have all the answers. It means offering what you have, your presence, your love, your listening ear. Perfection is not required in friendship. Commitment, kindness, and care are what truly matter. In fact, it's our imperfections that make us human and allow others to see us as real and relatable. It's through our shared vulnerabilities that true connection takes root. Finally, becoming the friend you need means embracing the beauty of mutual support. Friendships aren't one-sided. They are a beautiful dance of give and take. When you become the friend you need, you'll also learn to receive. It's easy to offer support to others, but it takes humility to accept it in return. A true friendship is a space where both people feel safe to give and receive, to be supported and to offer support. It's about meeting each other halfway and nurturing a bond that is rooted in both strength and tenderness. So, beloved, remember that becoming the friend you need is a journey, not a destination. It's about showing up for yourself, being vulnerable, embracing your imperfections, and offering the kind of love and care that you deserve. When you do this, not only will you become the friend you need, but you will also create the space for the kind of friendships that will nourish your soul and lift you up. You are worthy of deep, meaningful connections, and you are more than capable of creating them, starting with yourself.